Please stand for the invocation and pledge of allegiance.
You know, bow with me, please. Heavenly Father, we give thanks for this glorious day. We give thanks for this prior weekend and the Easter celebration and the risen Lord. We ask that you guide us tonight in all that we think, say, or do. We try to bring progress, energy, positive energy toward this city and all of its actions. We thank all those who have volunteered their time, those who are in the administration to guide us, and we hope that you give us wisdom to correct the city. We ask all this thing in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call the roll, please.
Yes, sir. Member Downey. Member Jarrett.
Here.
Member Lanfear.
Here.
Member Seveny. Here. Member Shepherd.
Here.
Vice Chair Snell.
Here.
Chair Hayes.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Okay. Special business. Legislative update.
Yes, thank you. So as of yesterday, House Bill 991 and Senate Bill 1242 were referred to the special order calendar for consideration tomorrow. The House bill continues to take a hardline approach to dissolving CRAs. It mandates the termination of all existing CRAs by the earlier of their charter expiration date or September 30th, 2045. It also prohibits the creation of new CRAs after July 1st of this year and bars CRAs from initiating new projects or issuing new debt after October 1st of this year. Significant amendments, however, have been made to the Senate Bill 1242, and those include it amends the governing structure of CRAs. It allows 2 members of the governing body to sit as members of the agency. It prohibits modification of the redevelopment plan. Like you can't expand the boundaries of your current CRA area. It also prohibits CRAs from expending funds on public areas of hotels or sponsorship of concerts or festivals. And it provides that a CRA will terminate when it reaches the time set forth in its documents. So it still allows CRAs as far as the Senate bill goes. So all this is to say that at some point, they're going to have to meet in the middle and hammer this out if both versions pass. And that right now, Florida League of Cities is saying is somewhat unlikely because there's a $4 billion shortfall in the budget, not really having anything to do with CRAs, but they're going to be much more focused on hammering out that $4 billion shortfall. And hopefully this all just dies on the floor before it ever reaches some sort of reconciliation and a vote. We're all very up in the air until the end of the month, and that's what I have so far.
And when is our charter up?
13 years,
Okay.
From
basically now. Yeah,
13,
13 more years.
because you read there's a sunset at 2045.
That's the outside date. So if there's, newer CRAs, they couldn't go beyond that as far as the Senate bill is concerned.
Now, does that mean they will not be funded after this year? Or they will continue to be funded?
It depends on what passes or if nothing passes at this point. It's all very up in the air. There's really no definitive answer because both bills are so far apart on what they want to see happen to CRAs.
Is there an inkling with the Senate bill making amendments, is there an inkling that maybe that's a movement towards the positive?
It is positive for us, for sure. Yes.
Okay.
So if they do reconcile closer to the Senate side, that's very good news for us.
So that means we could continue,
Yes.
possibly.
Yes.
That's very good news for me.
Right. And if it just dies in committee or dies on the floor, that's good news also.
Okay. I've got a few things, but if you want to go ahead with what you have, do you?
It's going to take a minute. So if you want to go ahead, do you want me to go ahead and do my presentation or do you want to?
You think?
It's your list.
It's short. Mine will take shorter probably. Is that okay with you or? I don't want to go in before. Some of the things that we really didn't touch on is we set aside money for the baseball museum. We
Yes,
allocated that money. Is that money safe now? I mean, as far as what's happening with the state and all that,
there is a contract.
that's earmarked.
There is a contract signed. So let's say worst case scenario, the House bill passes and that's the version we're stuck with. We have a contract in place already. We could open that construction escrow, no problem, deposit the money in there with the instructions identified in the contract, and that money would be safe for the museum. Yes.
Okay. And then, of course, Jason is gone. So some things that were hanging fire when he left, as far as the pickleball courts was concerned, we have a gas line to move,
Yes.
and it's just in my mind that the mayor asked me to put a budget together for the building so that we could have a kind of an idea of what it would cost to put the pavilion up or the cover. And we came out just over $500,000 is where we were, putting the ballpark figure in. I got a company to give us a price on the building. That price was for a 150 by 150 instead of, I believe we ended up at 136 by 136, if I'm not mistaken, because that would be the minimum size possible for us to do this. But there's been a lot of talk about using this for other events and other things that could happen. The 150 by 150 fits fine there. So maybe we could put something in there, a recommendation to the CRA or something from you guys, if you want to do that, to go ahead with a 150 by 150. And then it's giving us a little extra room for that center where spectators can be between the pickleball courts. And then if we did use this for other events, special events like we're getting ready to have this weekend, would be a great time to take all the nets down and use this building, at least for shade for people. So that was another thing. And of course, locating any other underground unforeseen things in that corner back there, so that we were sure that the gas line is the only obstacle we face, in the construction process. And then also, and these are just ideas. So if you guys don't have any interest in any of this, you don't have to entertain a motion or anything. It's just information. I'm sorry. Well, okay. Shut up quick. Okay. But I guess Dr. Kelly,
Yes, sir.
is that how I should refer to you? Okay. We had a discussion in the last meeting talking about an RFP or an RFQ.
Correct.
With the design build
Right.
component so that we could get this thing off the ground. That's when we thought that we were in a hurry to do something.
And we still may be. I don't know.
And
Yeah.
and if that does, it wouldn't hurt anything to get that ready to fly. In other words, get the groundwork going, make sure that the CRA board is on the same page with us, that they would, want that to happen, or that we recommend to them that either the RFP or Q. And the difference is, for qualifications, you're going to hire somebody that can design build it.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
So that's what I have.
Well, I think some of your concerns and the broader discussion is definitely going to be addressed with Jessica's presentation. in some of the renderings we have
Okay.
for you tonight.
Okay. Then I should have gone after you.
Is to his first point, you're probably going to address this. The open contracts we do have, the open acknowledgements or motions that we're going to perform work in this city for each applicant. Is that a formal contract? Has that been signed by both parties? Is it on the books that do we need to audit it?
Are you referring to facade grants?
Yes. Everything that could
Yeah.
possibly, we have found favor in and been passed on to the CRA board and they found favor. Do we have an inventory of those commitments?
Yes,
Thank you. And that qualifies for everything we've talked about.
correct.
Thank you, ma'am.
Well, we can switch gears really, since we're already on Donaldson Park. If we would like to go ahead and pull up those renderings, we can go ahead and have that discussion so we can stay on track. So we received these renderings about 2 hours ago, so they're fresh on our eyes as well. We have, and I'll need Dr. Kelly to jump in here because I am just now getting familiar with all the layouts. But of course, you got your pickleball courts, you got your splash pad. We've got is it mini putt golf and some playground equipment and a walking trail. So is there another slide? So here are the pickleball courts. And an improved parking lot. We've got a fitness area. So I don't know about you, but when I go, Dr. Kelly and I was talking about this earlier, when I'm off anywhere, I always look for walkable spaces. And people say that people want to be inside, but any town I go to, people are in these parks everywhere. I walked by Donaldson Park today and there was probably 20 people just sitting there having lunch, hanging out in the middle of the day, and there weren't kids. So people do want green spaces. And I do think something like this would attract people that want to do outdoor fitness. So I think this is a great ad. So next slide. And then our beautiful pickleball courts, which puts us ahead of Sebring or Lake Placid. I don't believe have anything of this scale. So I think that puts us in a unique position for pickleball being such an active sport currently in today's society. I know you've been talking about this for a long time, so it's new to me. Next slide. And our water park splash pad, which I know all the kids, we had, there was about 20 kids in here today, and they are ecstatic for something like this to be in Avon Park. So I think that would be a beautiful addition to Donaldson Park. We'll just have Chrissy click through all these slides here. And so this is a mini putt golf area with the shade banners over the top. And so it's just a fully functioning active area. I'm utilizing all the green space that's there in Donaldson Park currently.
Is that a rendering of above ground? Above soil? Park, golf. Removable when.
Permanent.
I'll have to defer to you on that one. I'm not sure.
I looked at one of those and they're poured pieces of concrete and then they have the turf on top of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And so these are just the different views of each of those renderings. And some new playground equipment and covered bench areas for parents. New bathroom facilities. Another view of the parking lot. Full view of the park. And another view of the pickleball courts. Does anyone have any questions about Donaldson Park and the renderings?
Two pictures, two views, that. Forward. Is there any? You like them, I like them, but
Is there any usage data for the outside gym? I mean,
That is a great question.
they're wonderful equipment, but it seems like it doesn't get as used as much as maybe other items in a
Mhm.
park.
Yeah.
And that's a very valuable space there. I love the gyms, but in total, society doesn't seem to use that as much as other items in a park. But I don't know what would be the top 10.
That's a really great question. And I can do some more research. Obviously these renderings were in play long before
Yeah.
me. So I wasn't sure if this was something the board has requested or if that's something the engineering team just stuck in there to have something pretty.
Well, I think I stand to be corrected quickly. We put in the city CRA or somebody put in some weight equipment or some benches or exercise equipment down there a couple decades ago, 15 years ago. I think they are attempting to add to it in this picture, but I was curious is there any type of data or any type of observation? Is this being used? What was there for the last 15 years compared to what all you're seeing up there on that screen, which is beautiful,
Mhm.
which you anticipate being heavily used.
Yeah. In my presentation, I have a few other ideas. So we can, of course, come together and we can X the fitness and we can maybe put some turf grass, lounging benches, swings, like adult swings, something like that in the place if we think that would be a better use of space.
You see people, again, you see people on the daily, at the club, whether it's a mom and kids, and I don't, I do see use data, but that's really the question, exactly how much.
I think it'll always be used every day, but the volume. Where's the tipping point for volume over something other idea?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. Can we draw more people using different types of equipment or something else in its place? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, ma'am.
I think that's a great
It's
question.
just a question, not a request.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great question.
16
not
foot
know.
walls. 16 foot walls, which brings it to about 28.6 in the middle on the 312 pitch.
The splash pad. Is that like what is it, a graphic? What is that? Because the way it looks like a little wading pool or a little wading pool.
Can you hear me? This splash pad, is that like a little pool, in-ground pool or something, or it comes up out of the ground?
It would be flush with the ground, so you can just walk over it and through it and to it, and the water comes
Okay.
out. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It has a taper to it. It has a very mild taper to a drain
Uh-huh.
so that when the water comes up and splashes the kids, it falls down, trickles back into a drain, and then is either recirculated or deposited.
Okay. It just looked like it was a little in-ground pool right there. But anyway, my next question is, forgot that quick. I had the question on the splash pad. I had the question on the height. Oh, the picnic tables and the pavilions that we have now are they going to be removed or are we just going to add to that? Because we got quite a bit of them out there and they get used quite often.
So this part of the rendering does not address the picnic areas that you're talking about. So these are in addition to
Okay.
the ones that are existing.
Okay, all right.
Something we could look at is we've had people talk about getting rid of the tennis courts. It looks like there's enough room down there for a tennis court if instead of the equipment, succumbing to people wanting to play tennis, put a tennis court down there, a single tennis court. So nobody loses anything.
With the funds layout, is there enough room for the bandstand or the pavilion? Based upon this? rendering?
That would be the other side of the sidewalk where you're saying that this doesn't go into down toward the water. We were talking about putting a bandstand pavilion in there down next to the water.
An amphitheater.
Theater.
Yeah. No, this doesn't address that. And forgive me for not knowing a lot of things right now. I'm 18 days in. We had talked that we were looking at floating docks. I know that was an option, a floating amphitheater. And that is as much as I know about an amphitheater at this point.
There was some talk about having the amphitheater up on shore and having the stage out on a dock, floating dock.
Right.
So that, your entertainment would be on the dock and then they would be looking at the hill, for amphitheater. That was one of the ideas.
I've been digging through files. Was that a Rotary Club sponsorship or something
Well,
at some point?
It was a Rotary Club thought.
Okay. Okay.
They have done a nice job of establishing a festival
Right.
that continues to find life and growth. And they have had numerous talks within their small board. We raise money for the community and we disperse the money every month into the community. Is there a time in our lifetime that we would disperse it back into a permanent structure? And since we're inviting people to come once a year by the thousands to watch a festival, would we actually build, with the permission of the city, a structure that we could actually do a performance? And then the performances that are done by children at Christmas and at different times of the year, and they gather in this park because it is a place that's inviting for people to gather.
Mm-hmm.
Would it be entertained by the Rotary Club and entertained by the city to join and build a structure? And then it took legs and went into the lake and went in different ideas.
Okay.
So it just surfaced that, is there a way we could pay back, contribute? And this has been over 5 years of various thoughts, all coming back to, let's first get a master plan of what's going on at Donaldson Park.
Do you have a preference on where that would be located?
You're asking this group or the?
Yes, your group.
No, we have listened to the CRA board,
Okay.
not the advisory, the CRA board, who has more ideas than the advisory board about that question.
Okay.
They've had thoughts about it.
Okay.
And they investigated based on a prior employee that was referenced earlier, Jason, who did some research on different municipalities who have done different things with similar use of land.
Okay.
And they were all just concepts.
Concepts are a start. I will dig further into that. Okay, well, we can start the presentation now. And so the way this will go, this is going to be more of a fun, visionary brain dump type session. Like I said, I'm 18 days in. I have been very active in the community, talking to residents, business owners, looking at storefronts, viewing city properties, and really just thinking through what what does Avon Park mean to Highlands County? What is the identity of Avon Park? Where does that fit in the grand scheme? And how do we set ourselves apart from what's currently going on in Highlands County, which there's a lot of activity. And so fresh energy, historic roots. Dr. Kelly thought it said roofs, but that could take two. We could have new roofs, right? CRA. And so together, this board and the council, we need to reimagine what the future of Avon Park looks like. And there's a lot of people that have a lot of ideas. The CRA has money. There's a lot of unknowns with what's going on in the legislature, but we can do this together. And so, I mean, Avon Park's a beautiful place. It has been more welcoming to me, I think, over the last 3 weeks than I've lived in Sebring now for 5 years. There's something really special about Avon Park. I am very excited to be part of this team. And I think we're a little behind, but it doesn't mean that we can't catch up. We just need to come together and figure out where we're putting our priorities. We do have a lot already in play. There is a lot of funds already allocated. We just need to start spending that money and making sure that the majority, we're not going to make everybody happy. I think we already know that. But the majority is excited about where we're moving towards. So I guess my changes didn't update, but so presently, I mean, we're incredible assets. We've got the lakes, we've got history. It's very affordable here, and there's a small town spirit, and we need to capitalize on that. But our vision is a little divided. We have the opportunity because we have motivated leaders. The city's under new leadership, and we have the CRA funds and historic foundations. And so how do we capture the uniqueness that we call it the city of charm? How do we make it charming? And so we need to build on that vision and figure out what that vision means for everybody that's a decision maker, everybody that's building a business on Main Street, and the residents that have invested their lifetime here, and the future residents that will live here. And so that's really the feedback I'm looking for today, is going through and just brain dumping on you on ways that we can build on what we currently have and continue moving forward in a direction that's quicker than maybe other towns have had years to start building on this. And I think we need to move quickly just because of the exposure of HGTV being what it is today. That will die down. And if we don't capture some of that attention quickly, I think we will get further left behind. So let's talk about a few things. I'm not going to dive into everything. We're not going to go into a lot of specifics projects, but what CRA can fund, you're obviously well aware, but we're going to touch on facade improvement grants, placemaking and beautification projects, small business incentives, public infrastructure upgrades, which we just talked about a little bit with the parks, property acquisition and redevelopment. We're not going to get into much of that today, and marketing and events. And I'm not necessarily talking about events, but more how can we promote whoever is doing the events. This is where we're at currently in terms of funding. We have not touched many of the dollars. We have 1.69 budgeted in Main Street, and currently we have 1.62 available. So a lot of those allocations, most of those allocations are in Donaldson Park, which we just talked about. That's under special projects. Facade grants, we haven't really touched any of the facade grants on Main Street. Haven't done many demolition projects. We haven't used any signage, nor the mall beautification and gateway improvements. We've got the baseball museum, which we just talked about, and then there's a few other projects in there. And so on South Side, we've used a little more of that facade grant over on in the South Side. We haven't used hardly any of the demolition. There's a few of those special projects. One of those is Elaine McWhite Park, which that is underway. So I went Monday and toured all of our facilities, and our Parks and Recs is very active trying to get that project underway. We're just waiting on some basketball hoops poles, I believe, and then they can start to get the basketball quartz striped and the landscaping underway in that area. And he's got a few really good ideas on how to make it a little more, not only beautiful, but a little more practical for the kids. Instead of using wood mulch, maybe using something a little more practical, like a rubber or netting in the playground areas. Airport CRA, we haven't done anything at the airport. So I guess that's to say we have money and we need to spend it. And so today we're going to talk about ways that we can do that within, we have them allocated under these special funds and under the sign and facades. And how are we going to use that and use that maybe quickly, maybe not. We don't know what's going on, but I'm going to talk as if CRAs are sticking around because that's my hope. So first is facades on Main Street. So we have about $200,000 to spend on Main Street and facade grants. And the bulk of what I'm going to mention today are quick wins, because I think that's what we need in Avon Park, especially downtown. Everybody I've talked about, they're just ready to see something happen. I think that's just been, from what they're telling me, they hear a lot of things over the course of many years, and now it's like, let's just do something. And so a facade block blitz is what I'm calling this. And my suggestion would be, we have a lot potentially going on with Donaldson Park. Let's somehow tie it into there. So let's hand select a few contiguous blocks. And instead of going out or waiting on someone to bring a grant application, let's figure out how to combine these applications together. And it's more of a pre-approval process of you've been selected. Let's expedite some of these facades and then get somebody to go out and do an RFP and do multiple commercial properties all at one time versus trying to cherry pick and not getting a whole lot done. And we can possibly revise the existing program that we have in place. Right now, it's 100% reimbursable up to $5,000 per storefront. I think we should increase that. I think we could do a 50% match, and whatever the board decides is a reasonable match amount. But I mean, a commercial building the size of some downtown, you're not going to get much done with $5,000. I think implying more of a match type program, if we go up to 10 and they put in 5 or 10, then it's a totally different looking building for $20,000, at least from a facade perspective. And so we can touch on paint, signage, awnings, window doors, outdoor lighting, and decorative accents, whatever, and then coming up with a color palette. So we kind of have an idea of what we're wanting our downtown to go to. Are we wanting it to be a vibrant, you see downtown Sebring right now, it's more of that fun Key West type colors. Is Avon Park more of an historic type color town? So these are things that we need to think through if this is the route we go down, and then coming up with some timelines, some quick timelines, so that we can get this done quickly. So that would be the facade block blitz. And public art grants. So this is something that's missing from Avon Park. Of course, we have the beautiful mural there on the property appraisers building. As when HGTV went down to Sebring, the first thing they did is start putting murals everywhere and drawing on sidewalks. And Lake Placid has added lots of murals. People love to see color. They love to see art. So, we could come up with a name, Art for Avon, mini grants. And we could maybe pull in the art program from the college or the high school kids and give them some type of stipend to start adding these art, beautiful projects around Avon Park. We could even do it on something like the water towers. Our water tower is not beautiful. Our water treatment things. I mean, there's lots of ways we can add personality to Avon Park without it being expensive. While we do have some money to spend, we don't have a lot of money to spend. So we need to come up with ways we can get, again, some visible progress, whether that be a manhole covers, you can paint those. Some doors, utility boxes, you can paint. Well, it's paint. You can paint whatever you want. And so are we going for fun, funky? Or is it, something more historical? You can do historic, tell stories through wall murals. You can tell the story of Avon Park that way through take buildings that are maybe vacant and providing some mural grants that way to just to help add some life here to Avon Park. Another thing I would like to consider is sidewalk activation grants. I don't know about you. I love sitting outside and eating. People love to walk and shop and then go outside and have a drink or grab a snack or whatever they want to do. So recognize that outdoor dining is key for vibrant downtowns. If you go to an active downtown, people are eating outside, they're walking around. And so potentially adding some type of grant program for outdoor seating, string lighting, especially if we want people down here after hours, and sidewalk cafes. And that's I was talking to somebody on Monday and they said they'd like to see more nightlife. And that doesn't mean necessarily bars and restaurants, just people out at night. And so in order for us to do that, we're going to have to add lighting downtown. So, and we need to get our businesses involved in that process. So you can do the canopies, chairs and umbrellas and lighting, like I said, will fall under that type of grant program. So just something to think about. We have a lot of vacant buildings in downtown Avon Park, and this is what we could call Windows Alive grant. And that's just simply the only cost we would have in that is printing, mounting, and curation. So if a building owner is unable to sell his building, would he be opposed to making it look better? So maybe it would sell quicker and it's more visually appealing to everybody walking by or driving by that building. And so this is just, it fills empty storefronts, and you can use art. We can use local art if we wanted to, or if you've been in downtown Sebring, there's a few vacant buildings down there that just says, imagine your business here, life in Sebring or life in Avon Park. So there's lots of ways we can do that, but just offering some incentives to those windows that we're passing by that maybe aren't as visually appealing right now. Pop-up grants. So again, in talking vacant stores, vacant parking lots, spaces in downtown that are not currently being used, we can offer some type of mini grants for those. And that's just, again, a lot of times you'll see them in bigger towns, especially around Christmas time. People sometimes don't have the means to go and have a store full time, but maybe we could supply some type of incentive to a vacant building owner for a temporary build out type situation. Or some nonprofits use it for just more staging to showcase their nonprofit, like a sitting area during Thanksgiving, for instance, like with hay bales and things that they go out and just a way to showcase their nonprofit. So there's ways that we can use those vacant buildings make them look visually appealing through the facade grants, or just add some window treatments, or even try to do some type of temporary build out of that space, like a pop-up market. So my favorite thing is plants. So planters, banners, streetscaping. So if you've been down to downtown Bartow lately, I went there. I don't know what day it is. I went there recently, and they have a beautiful streetscaping program, and they either incentivize business owners to plant, or they provide plants in certain areas, potted plants. And this can go as far as wide as we want it to. We can use low maintenance plants. We can use seasonal, annuals, or perennials, whatever we wanted to keep up with. But this is a very easy way to make the streets just feel safe and lively. And it just, again, adds color and life to the streets. Yeah, people love gardens because it's peaceful. So with that, banners, I think that's been a discussion here before, but banners are an easy way to just add life to your downtown, to, again, advertise in a cohesive way. It's an easy way to to recognize our veterans, our seniors, Christmas. So a banner program is something most main streets have. So that would be an easy win. Again, it just gets people downtown, especially if somebody they know is on one of those banners, and it just feels like hometown pride. With the planter and banner and streetscaping. Again, these are just various examples of what we could do with either lighting at Christmas. People travel from all over to go to downtown Sebring during Christmas because of they light up the circle. And there's lots of towns like Lakeland and that do just that. And so kind of heading towards that direction and having trees and plants and things that we can add to my vision right now is probably the mall area. And if we could make that a area that people wanted to walk down, that it was more of a Christmas stroll type thing, I think that would be a really great ad for Avon Park. So talking about the mall mile, so we have Donaldson Park rendering, which you saw today, and I would love to see that tied into the mall. Right now, I don't see anybody walking down the mall, but I think it could be used. I walked, there's nothing to really look at. The street or the sidewalk in between doesn't meet most of where I'm walking. So then I kind of have to walk in and walk out. So just somehow tying that into Donaldson Park and letting that be, we can name it. We could even go out and get sponsors for certain blocks and change it out seasonally. There's lots of things that we could do. And from a fitness perspective, if you wanted to run that and carry that on to Donaldson Park and then go around the lake, that could be, I don't know how many miles that is, but that could be tie into a fitness loop type thing as well. So I think some beautification down the mall and really giving it its own character. There's not too many towns that have that. So I think capitalizing on that is a really great idea. So we can do that through sculptures. There's a few there. I've seen some flags and things like that. And this can tie into parks as well. Some sitting areas, some sculptures, some landscaping, some pavers or whatever, if it's not concrete, some lighting, of course, and some additional like benches or swings or you don't really want things you're throwing around there because it is a road, but there's smaller like yard games and things that could be played there. Again, just kind of continuing out Donaldson Park onto that. And then people are kind of crossing to go eat or shop or whatever that may be. So Park Edition, we saw the park, and speaking of fitness, there's ways that we can do other things. It's whatever the community wants in that area. But, I'd love to see people out there doing fitness activities, whether it's yoga or playing soccer with their kids out there or running. Of course, the splash pads there or movies in the park. Of course, downtown Sebring, they added the ping pong and cornhole. People love that. So a way to set up a booth that you could serve, drinks or whatever you wanted to out there. I know they have a little concession stand in a lot of parks I've been to. So just ways that people are excited to get out there. They have things to do and they're not just going to stop at Donaldson Park. We're give them a reason to keep going down Main Street. I think that would be the ultimate goal. Signage, installation, and restoration. There's not a lot of great signage in downtown Avon Park. When you turn on 27, we've talked about, some type of gateway signage there. You're entering Avon Park and it's very noticeable. It's something that captures your eye. It pulls you off 27 and it makes you want to come down 27, but also some unified signage with the businesses and offering again in that grant program. Let's come up with some historic, beautiful signage for the buildings and for our street names. And then really capturing the historic nature of Avon Park with historic signage. So that would be more in this signage and restoration session of this. And you can see there's a bunch of different ways that we can do signage on buildings, in our town center. And there's more of a gateway type idea. I'm sure you've been through Ybor or Champions Gate. A lot of them have that archway into town. All right, gateway signage, that's something we're actively working on now. Currently, that's one of our gateway signs. It has seen better days. That's a rendering we have gotten, and this is the first draft. We're just working through ideas at this point. Again, what do we want to be known for? Is it, we have Baseball City on here now. The O is the baseball. And so that was one. And then we were throwing out a few other, just, my clicker's not working. And so we're throwing out a few other ideas. And so we're brainstorming. So gateway signage is coming. We just need to figure out what that looks like. And something everybody is going to love when they pull into town. They know they're in Avon Park. So I'd like it to be simple, love it to be clear, but eye capturing as well. So a commercial improvement grant. So right now we don't have a clear structure on larger commercial improvement grants. Again, going back to that matching and who do we want? Who are we trying to recruit downtown? So maybe coming up with some type of tier system, like tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, and those types of businesses, and not just being a facade grant, helping them really get started in downtown, help them get their businesses set up, maybe do some renovations on a really old building that they don't have the capital necessarily to do that. And creating, again, we have the funds. Let's figure out a way that we can help these businesses get in, get set up, get started. Main Street, Avon Park. My opinion that we definitely need to reactivate that, revisit that. I'm not saying the city needs to do that, but it's something that the community as a whole would benefit from, especially the downtown area, because Main Street organizations can do events. It's not something that falls under their CRA. The accreditation helps people go to Main Street accreditations. They do Main Street trails all over America. And so that puts us on the map, and any type of branding that we can get that we are a Main Street, an accredited Main Street helps. They also can apply for grants and get assistance that we cannot get. And the development, I mean, they're there to really serve as a cheerleader of Main Street and to really rally behind the businesses and get that spirit up and do the things the CRA is not able to do. So I think that needs to be just in the back of everybody's mind, that is something that we need to work towards as a community, and then focus on businesses that we want to recruit. We have some really, really great businesses in downtown right now, but what else do we need? So when we're thinking through, okay, we have the facade grants. What do we want there? A boutique fitness studio would be great. More cafes and coffee shops are always good. A bakery, restaurants with outdoor seating, specialty food markets, whether that be olive oil, wine, things like that. Something kid, family activity, boutique retail. We have some beautiful boutique retails down there now, but more is always good. Bookstores, salon, barbershops, these are all high foot traffic businesses. Co-working and tech hubs. A lot of people work from home, and a lot of people are tired of sitting in their house. So having a space downtown, that's a lot of rural communities have started doing that. Thrift and vintage shops, and then art galleries and studios. So those are businesses that are in the back of my mind that I'm like, how do we get them here to Avon Park? So what do we do? Again, this was all about just brain dumping on you, figuring out what can we do, and how can we see, first, how can we have a shared vision? Second would be, what are those visible big wins? I shared several ideas with you today. A communication plan. How do we get this out to the public? Right now, we have almost all the facade grant money that was allocated. No one's coming to the city to ask for facade grants. So it's going to have to be the city going out and doing the recruiting, asking businesses to paint their buildings, to put up awnings, to do those types of things. And then setting up those task teams that, I mean, we can do. I'm an office or I'm a one. CRA is one person at the city. I don't know the right terminology for that. So we need team, we need buy-in, we need the Main Street, we need businesses. We've got it. It's got to be a whole team. We have you, of course, and we've got council, and we have people that show up here, which is absolutely wonderful. But we need to organize that and create task teams that's really going to start setting this forward, or we're just going to sit here and keep talking about it. And I don't want to do that. I want to actually, do want to make some change here in Avon Park. And so when have we reached our mission? Hopefully it doesn't end this year, but when the downtown streets are lively and there's new storefronts and there's art and there's events and it's active and families are moving here, not moving away, and they're proud to live here and they're proud to invest here. And I want Avon Park to be known as a hidden gem, historic and thriving, not just for people that were raised here, that love it because they were raised here and their families here, but people that want to move here because they love it and there's things to do. So that's all I have.
That's all.
That's it. Any questions?
I have one question, if I might ask you, Jessica, on the Main Street program where we can get grants and so on and so forth. Walk us through the process and the cost and the time frame for us to get there.
Well, I did contact Florida Main Street. Again, I don't know which day. I don't know what day it is. And I talked with Kathy at Florida Main Street. And she said back in 2005, the city of Avon Park or Avon Park Main Street was deactivated just due to not submitting annual reports. And that is required to remain an active Main Street. And so they just deactivated. So it's a fairly simple process to get it reactivated. Now, how it's funded typically is through a portion of CRA funding, a portion of city funding, depending on what they feel is appropriate, membership fees from the businesses and sponsorships, and then of course their event income. They're heavily, depending on how they're set up, they can be heavily event based.
Is there a time frame to go through that process? Does it take 6 months or a year or whatever to get certified again? You know?
That is a good. I don't think it takes long. I think from the city of Avon Park's perspective, it's who's going to do it.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that would be the biggest time constraint.
Is that part of your team?
I don't have a team.
Part of your future team?
Yeah. So again, there's lots of things to work out, but there's lots of ideas and there's lots of things we can do. We just need to figure out what we want to do, and then we can figure out how we're going to do it. So.
Some of the things you mentioned, we have thought about doing or tried to do. There's other CRAs that are doing things like this, and they've widened their scope or how they're allowed to operate. And we've never done that. I mean, a little bit here and there. We've changed the size of a demolition for a commercial and some other things like that. But for us to go in and be able to do some of the things you mentioned, it would be nice to do that. And is that possible? Can we change the rules of our CRA to allow those things to happen? Or do we make the rules?
We make the rules here collectively. I'm not sure which rules you are referring to that need to be changed. I mean,
Well,
aside
like the size
from
of a grant or
Sure.
going out and offering a grant to someone.
The company match.
Yeah. And
Right.
company match and stuff like we've not done any of that, but yet
right.
there's other.
So you could recommend these changes to the CRA board, and then we could put in place a policy for them to consider, and they would vote on that and enacting it. It's just that simple.
Okay. That's pretty simple. That's a yes or no. Anybody else have any comments or questions?
I have a comment. Miss Jessica, what about the in the past, I can't tell you how long it's been, but in the past, they were able to give people that wanted to start new businesses, they was able to give them like a grant. I think it was at one time $3,500 or $5,000 just to start a new storefront to help them out in the past. So what do you think about that? And have you gave that any thought? Because there are a lot of vacant, building. And so, sometimes people have a hard time, getting their startup money. The only problem I have with that is if we're going to give a person a certain amount of money, I think that somewhere in the lease it should say that you should stay in the storefront a certain amount of time so we don't feel like you went there for a month or two and there go $5,000 and now you done close your doors. You know what I'm saying? So have you thought about that? Because in the past they used to have that. That's before I moved back to Avon Park.
Yeah. And I think I was going to put that in and I forgot. I think it was getting too long. But yes, I think a rental assistance program grant is a great idea. I know Sebring is thinking about that because if you've been to downtown Sebring, there's not a lot of retail. They have a lot of restaurant heavy right now. So they're trying to figure out how to get more retail in there. A lot of retail's run short on cash a lot, so they need a little more incentive. So you can offer some type of rental incentives to the building owner for a certain period of time. And again, making sure those restrictions are in place. The building, maybe it's a reimbursement type program. I haven't looked too far into this, but if you're open for this period of time, then maybe there's no reimbursement. I'm not really sure how that works, but I know there's several CRAs that are looking towards that to target certain retail to come into their space.
It was actually 10 for businesses, and they kept the receipts and turned them in, and they were reimbursed 5.
Okay.
Yes, it was 10.
Another possibility that comes to mind, if we had a building downtown, let's say we bought one of these empty buildings as the city or the CRA, you could open up some type of incubator space for businesses. And part of the deal that you would structure with them is as they grow, you take a certain percentage of their profit so that it's put back into the CRA as they become more successful.
Oh, that's great.
That was the original concept behind.
Oh,
Rob Bullock, 100 East Main. That was actually the original concept with the Brickell building. So back in, I want to say 2013, when I was actually sitting up where you guys were, our advisory board had discussed possibly doing an incubator program. The city would buy the Brickell building and they would build it out. And like in that idea was the owners of the businesses would actually live upstairs. Their businesses kind of going back to like the early 1900s, but it would be a way of getting residents to come to Avon Park to live downtown, but also run their businesses. And as time came, and if they outgrew, then they could grow into another bigger area on Main Street or within the city. And it would help keep revenue coming into the city at the same time.
You run into some use issues with that, with upstairs fire. And there's some things you have to do to, NFPA tells you what you can or cannot do with the residents upstairs and a business downstairs and sprinklers and all that. So it gets rather costly when you start doing that. Just Wi-Fi, But we tore a building down on Main Street and there's grass growing there now. Do we own that land?
We do. It on Monday's agenda is a purchase and sale agreement for that property. I think you're referring to 101 West Main Street.
Yes.
Yes.
And that's sold already?
Well, there's a purchase and sale agreement on council's agenda Monday night for consideration.
Okay. Because that'd make a great place, meeting place with maybe a trailer there to sell shaved ice or something. And then maybe some cornhole setup or something to draw people into, something like that. We could do something like that. It doesn't take much to do cornhole. And at Pigeon Forge, one of the new malls there, they put out artificial turf, and then they just threw out some boxes and bags and it's turned into in the evening time, the kids come out and they're playing cornhole. I mean, it's like crazy that all it is turf and some cornhole setups, and there's a lot of people there every night. There's an
Yeah.
ice cream store there too, right? Adjacent, so it makes it nice. But they come and hang out there.
Yeah, pocket
And
parks.
they didn't do anything
Yeah,
except
no.
put the boxes up.
People like being outside, regardless of what people say about gaming. And I mean, sure, kids are on their phones and TVs, but kids also like to be outside. And we need to figure out how to get people downtown, how to stay downtown. Pocket parks are a very popular idea. Dog parks, anywhere people can bring their dogs. There's not a lot of those in Highlands County at all. And so anyway, we could come up with ideas where people just get there, hang out, and then again, go eat, shop, do whatever afterwards. It's a great idea.
Yep.
I enjoyed that was a great presentation, but just a few comments. I would like to see something put together for the South Side quarter, like Halmagre and Delaney. I know we don't have the money that Main Street does, but like 13, 14 years ago, we spent hundreds of thousands of dollars of money with FERDAP grants and other grants that were written to redo the corridor in Halmagre and Delaney, putting utilities on the ground, lighting, trash receptacles, a gazebo on Delaney, cameras. We did some parts of Allen McWhite. And I would like to, has anybody applied for any FERDAP grants or anything in order to be able to utilize this again for the South Side?
So this isn't specific to any CRA district. I wanted to make it broad. So any concepts here could be applied across all districts. So signage, streetscaping, parks, anything like that we do in one area, we can certainly take over and do in another.
And I had spoken early to you about there hasn't been, we had different things that we said we would like to see put in the area. And Mr. Davis here, thing was the cameras at the corner. He's one of Halmagre and Delaney. There are cameras there, but they're kind of ancient. They're 13, 14 years old. And I really think they need to be upgraded. And also the camera, I don't know if Mr. Davis wanted to say anything, but that would be really great to redo that. It's right there on the corner of Halmagre and Delaney, and there are cameras.
And the other thing that we were talking about, and I don't know where you were here or not, was on Lake Tulane putting in a fishing pier. You remember that?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's something that needs to be done. That would be great there. I went and looked at that. That would be awesome.
Mr. Davis had something to say.
While Mr. Davis go up to the podium, I'm going to speak. It seems like to me, the CRA advisory board, they've been talking about the cameras at Alpine Mike White Park for quite some time. Do we have cameras there? Do we have active cameras there?
We do have active cameras there. They've been upgraded. We put in an AC unit into that block building in there so that we could house the camera equipment. This was all done within like the last 3 months.
Okay.
I was just looking in the back because I saw Matt Bird there a minute ago, and he would definitely know that. We ran all the conduit. We put the new cameras up. Yes, there's cameras.
And I spoke with the preacher of the Carolina Avenue Church of Christ a few days ago, and he called me back today. They are willing, because like when something happens, they have cameras. They are willing to partner with us to allow cameras to be placed on their property, on their building, and be able to allow the sheriff's department anytime to come and view those. So that had been brought up once before, but they are willing to partner with us. And I think if they're willing to partner and allow us to put cameras there, hey, let's go for it.
In the name of the church again, please?
Carolina Avenue Church of Christ, and I have his phone number. You can give him a call.
And my other thing on the South Side is I had the opportunity to talk to Miss Jessica and Dr. Kelly, and I just wanted to bring it to the advisory board. I was interested in Memorial, and I talked to, like I said, Jessica and Dr. Kelly to a pretty extent, and here it goes. I would love to see Memorial as a gateway to Sebring. And the reason why is there's a lot of traffic on Memorial that goes from Sebring to Avon Park every day, especially in the mornings and in the afternoons. It's just a lot of traffic there. And if you travel Memorial, you know that it is dilapidated. Okay. And a lot of it, a lot of the issues is the residents. Let's just keep it real. I am working with the residents trying to get their homes cleaned up, but I would like the CRA advisory board to keep in mind. And like Miss Jessica said that it probably is going to take some type of grants to do it. But I like to see, and I think she said she's going to probably get with Duke Energy. I would like to see a lot of lights down Memorial, because if you come on Main Street, from Main Street going to a Memorial, you'll see when you get like halfway of Memorial, you can see clear down to the roundabout. And I would love to see lights hanging on Memorial, just light up Memorial. Memorial to me gets just as much traffic as Main Street.
Yeah.
At a certain time of day, it just gets just as much. I would love to see a gateway coming from Sebring, wherever the cutoff is, Sebring, Avon Park. Let Sebring know you coming into the devil country now. You know what I'm saying? I just like to see Memorial, flowers, trees, like we talk about on Main Street, have all this beautiful stuff. I think Memorial deserve that because it get just as much traffic. That's it.
So just to respond to that, I
I
met
would
with
say it
Duke.
gets more traffic.
Yeah.
And more traffic than Main Street. I mean, I travel that road 4 or 5 times a day.
Oh, yeah.
It's terrible.
Oh, yeah.
So we have some people. Hold on. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Just to respond to that, I met with Duke Energy last week, and that was one of the things we talked about. They had their lighting team out here, Ben Hicks, this week. He's already driven it. He knows what we want. I relayed those asks to him. He's putting together a rendering packet, a photometric design and he's going to give me all of the different lighting fixture choices so that we can decide here what we want, and they would install it.
Dr. Kelly, you rock.
Back here.
Sarah Piper, 100 East Main Street. I just wanted to verify what Bernice says. I live in Sebring, and a lot of people that I know live in Sebring or vice versa, live in Avon Park. We take Memorial to stay off of 27, and we just shoot on up from Sebring to directly to Avon Park and back again. So it does get a lot of traffic, more so than we're avoiding all the traffic on 27.
And there's a bump in that road that needs to be fixed too.
Yeah, right there at Memorial and Hal McRae. Yeah.
Yeah, that's where they tore up the road to fix the sewer in there.
Patricia Shepherd, 305 Ernest E. Sims Street. Memorial is busy, so they're turning on to Ernest E. Sims Street, which is making it even busier. The school is going to be up and running soon. And I think I mentioned this before, there's not enough lighting down Ernest E. Sims Street. We need a speed bump to get these big trucks that are coming down there to slow down. I see parents with their cell phone lights on walking their kids to school in the morning because it's dark down there. Some mornings I want to get up to just help them out to go down to the end to make sure their kids because there's a bus stop right across on Ernest C. Sims, across from the RCMA Hopewell. There's a bus stop there. So these kids go in the morning and they're coming home on the bus. Coming home is fine, but in the morning, a parent has to use their cell phone light for lighting. That's not fair, and they're just coming. And there's a lot of elderly folks like me, my mom. We live on Ernest C. Sims. I'm scared for my mom and Miss Collin to even walk in the morning because those trucks and the traffic. I guess they turn off a Memorial, go on Ernest C. Sims to get downtown quicker because that is a quicker route. Thank you.
Thank you.
We can definitely look into that. There are grants for safe routes to schools that we could apply for.
Anyone else?
Rob Bullock, 100 Rob Bullock, 100 East Main. Just want to make sure you got it. I just wanted to come up and talk real quick. I don't want to shift the direction off of Ernest E. Sims and Memorial, but regarding what you just saw from Mrs. Carlson, that presentation, that is one of the best presentations I think that has come before us as a city, as a CRA, as a city council in a very, very long time. And I watched all of your reactions throughout that presentation, and I could tell how energized and inspired you guys were and excited. Each one of you either live in the city or own a business in the city, just like most of the people sitting in this room. What I would ask that you do, we have 2 council members sitting here right now. They are 2 out of 5 votes when it comes to the mothership of the CRA. Each one of you have the opportunity to come to those actual CRA meetings and speak up. You live here, you have businesses here, but most importantly, you're the advisory board. Unfortunately, in the past, we have seen some of the things that you've pushed up to the mothership go the complete opposite direction of what you guys have agreed upon. And that has happened for years, in certain different times. What we don't need to see is something great like that, as much as it could be tweaked in one way or another, but it would be to better our main street, better our downtown, better our city. What we don't need is to see it go the exact opposite way. So what I would ask is each and every one of you, please make it a point to come to one of those public meetings where you can discuss that openly with the mothership and show that support, so they know that you guys are standing behind this, and you're standing behind these 2 women up here that are putting in so much effort into our city. They have invested so much over the last few months. Jessica, the last few weeks, but Dr. Kelly, I mean,
I count 3.
well, yeah, 3. I'm sorry, Chrissy too. Like 3 to Chrissy before Dr. Kelly came. Chrissy was trying to hold down the fort and work the CRA as well. So if you guys could please make sure that you do share those thoughts in a public forum with the mothership CRA, which happens to be our city council also. Thank you.
Hey, Rob, I appreciate you doing that. You can sit there for a second. I also appreciate the eye contact I made with you. I also appreciate the 13 pages of notes that I took on this thing. I think we need momentum. I think we got to get something done. And obviously the pickleball been surveyed. We're getting closer and closer. What's the first thing we can get done to create the momentum? We got to get momentum. All this talk is wonderful, but if we don't start getting some traction, get our feet on the ground and start moving, it's not going to happen. None of it will happen. So, and I am so energized and so passionate. It's probably coming out of me right now as you guys are listening, but we've got to get the momentum. So I think we need to really focus on this. Jessica, I am so impressed with that. And Dr. Kelly, what you've done, again, I'm not your cheerleaders, but fabulous. I think now the next step, and to Bernice and Jim, we got to start moving. We got to start getting this done. And I think it's obviously the pickleball will be the first thing, I'm guessing, that we'll be able to get done. But whatever it is, whatever small thing you can do, and Rob, I appreciate your passion for this city. And you and I have talked outside of here as well. I really appreciate you saying what you just said. And I completely agree.
Well, I appreciate all of you taking. It's not easy sitting in those chairs, whether you're an advisory board, whether you're an elected official, it's not easy. But what it does allow you guys to be the voice, the decision makers, and bring the change. So,
and we're all human. And there's, every time I look, there's more than 10 people in this room waiting and waiting and waiting. And I feel like I've been waiting and waiting and waiting. And I'm a junior member up here. But I know that my passion exists in all 5 of these other people. So I can't wait to see what we can do. And this is a really good starting block to this. But enough talk, we've got to start getting some things done. I'm not trying to be aggressive. I'm trying to be assertive. I love this city. I moved into this city for this reason. So I just can't wait to see what we do, but we got to get cracking. Just being open.
The crowd that you have almost now at every CRA advisory meeting, at every regular CRA meeting, that did not happen in 2013, 2014. It didn't even happen 5 years ago. The crowd that's coming, that's an energetic thing. Councilwoman Taylor, her going out and knocking on doors and bringing in CRA facade grants the way she has been, that never happens. It is amazing. And the fact to be able to have those applicants come and speak the way they have spoke that I've watched now over the last year, 2 years, that never used to happen. I mean, I think Avon Park is now at a point where we have the citizens on board, the businesses on board, majority of all the political officials on board, the city staff on board. I think if we ever had a time, it's now. So thank you again.
I just want to let the audience know that we do have a joint CRA board and advisory board meeting on the books for May 12th. And I believe that's going to start at 4:00. So we'll have plenty of time to meet jointly before the council meeting.
Emilio Garibaldi, 126 West Main. To go back to the point of Mr. Hayes in the chair, he was talking about 101 West Main, about, the cornhole and stuff like that. A while back, I'm not going to say the time yet, I presented an extensive package on a Rotary Park for that corner. Okay. And, we went through it and everybody liked it. But they really wanted a building, which is fine. That happens. So we backed off, and now a gorgeous building is going to be built up there. It's fantastic. But to go back to your point, that was a year and a half ago when I presented that. And we're still here talking about certain things that are in here. And it's like, you can't waste that. It's not 100% of it has to be done. If 50% of it was done, this place would be absolutely gorgeous. And to waste that and still talk about it and go over it again, we're going to talk about another year and a half, and then another 3 years, and another 4 years, and then what? So the ideas of the people who are all here in this room right now is for a reason. They all want the same thing. And what, to Rob's point, you guys are big voices, and the way Councilmember Bernard, Councilmember Taylor, Shelley when she comes in, Brittany when she comes in, is the same way we would request for some of you guys to come into the main CRA meeting to voice your opinions, because it does matter.
I'd like to say one more thing to Jessica. Jessica, when I sat down with you and Dr. Keller, I did not mention this, and this is important, and I want to know if it's possible. And here it goes. Can the CRA buy land?
Yes.
I would like to see a community garden on the south side. If all possible, I would love to, and don't get me wrong, I would love to see it anywhere in the city, north side, west side, east side, because I'm quite sure one lot is not going to feed the whole city, okay? But I've been working with a group, and they brought this to my attention about a community garden. I would love, south side don't have a lot of money, and I know property down there probably not selling that much. I don't know, maybe what, $800 to $1,000, $1,500 or whatever. I would love if the CRA could buy a piece of property on the south side, the north side, west, whatever side, and start community garden. I would love to see that happen. If that's all possible.
I believe what is that address? 923 South Avenue. That's already budgeted to buy on South Side.
923 what?
Is that? Yeah.
Where's that at?
923 South Avenue?
What area of town is that, Dr. Kelly?
South Side.
South side, 923 what?
It says South Avenue.
What main road is that near, Dr. Kelly, you know?
I don't. I just saw it listed in the budget that was adopted.
Really?
It is off McRae and South Avenue. Delaney is on the other side of it.
Is it off Ernest E. Sims? Near the tracks?
South Lane. It's a really, really tiny street. It's a short street.
That was who brought that?
It was in the budget that you adopted back in September, I think it was. the CRA put aside, was it $75,000 for that purchase?
I think it's about.
Yeah, $75,000. So it's already budgeted to buy a piece of property on South Side.
$75,000?
Correct. Yes.
We purchased a. What piece of land down there on the south side that's worth $75,000?
Well, there'll be
I mean-
plenty of money left over to put in the garden and demolish the structure that's there. And
Dr. Kelly, you mean 7,500?
Yeah.
Yeah, not 75,000.
no, it says 75,000 in the budget.
No, that's
Where's
new
that?
to me.
Yeah.
I'm okay. No, $75,000. No piece of land. No city.
Is it? Is it Valley Stone? That's all street.
Okay. Anybody else?
Street.
It's new to me. I never.
What is in there? Is that
Anybody
Valley
else
Stone?
from the audience want to speak about what they saw tonight, the presentation? Okay.
I'm gonna look at that.
Anybody on the,
I have a question.
okay, here we go.
What could be done about the buildings that are empty, that are not owned by the city, which I know we don't own very many, but could there be anything done that to these building owners that have sat on these buildings for decades? They have been almost abandoned.
Yeah.
I mean, is there anything that we can do as a city that maybe code enforcement to get them filled up?
I did have that conversation with City of Bartow CRA on Monday, and their ordinance reflects those types of vacant structures. I know they said if there was no live utilities to that went against code and they could enforce that way. So I think if it's not an ordinance right now, then it would have to be changed.
Right. I don't know that we have an ordinance like that, but we could certainly advocate for adopting something like that. And then the window activation, the art, for the storefronts, so at least they don't look
Yeah.
dreary.
Yeah, I think if we added just the window coverings and some streetscaping, that would make at least a drastic improvement out there, and then address an ordinance issue later.
So Jessica, to draft an ordinance to say what? Like what? Help me out. I mean, the city council can draft an ordinance to say what? That the building can't be vacant for so long. How does that work, Dr. Kelly?
You could have something where you require active utilities, that they can't just let the building sit fallow.
That's just active utility, but
Right.
you can't make one rent their building.
No,
Okay.
you can't. I mean,
Okay.
there's private property rights, but we could require that they have utilities hooked up and active. So
And
it's
who wants to pay for utilities?
exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. All right. Thank you.
Was this it?
Dolores Miranda, 4051 East Old Lyman Range Road. To that topic about vacant buildings, NFPA 1 Florida Fire Prevention Code for all of our larger buildings. Can y'all hear this? Okay. That have fire sprinkler systems. It doesn't matter if it's occupied. None of it matters. You can require the owner to maintain those systems. And there's a lot of testing and maintenance that is required for a sprinkler system. And I can think of one in particular that y'all could probably use that on. So if anybody at the fire department, I know y'all have a new fire inspector. I don't know how much experience. Call me if you need help. That's all I got to say. But yes, that would get an owner's attention real quick right off the bat if they hadn't had a 5-year test done in quite a while. And then there's annuals and quarterlies. And if they've got a sprinkler system, it should have a fire alarm system that's monitored by a monitoring company. So right off the bat, somebody has to do a lot of work to get that building in compliance. So like I said, call me if you need help on that.
Emilio Garibaldi, 126 West Main Street. So to give you to enlighten you a little bit on some of the buildings, Sarah, Piper, and myself, we've spoken to many of the owners. And as far as the bigger buildings, 90% of them are being renovated on the inside. You don't see it on the outside because it costs a lot on the inside to get them done. And that's another reason for the facade grants and things like that that are going through. These guys are spending hundreds of thousands of dollars to get these buildings in order. And these are 100-year-old buildings. They cost a lot of money. So as far as to look at them from the outside and say they're empty, you can say that because not all of the stores may be filled yet, but the work that's being done inside is pretty extensive. So there are some smaller buildings. There's one big building that's empty that we are trying to work on, but most of the bigger buildings, especially from the tracks down, the owners are actively getting them all ready, 100%.
Wonderful.
Dr. Kelly, it is the businesses must maintain water, keep their waters on as well. I know residents do. Isn't it required by the businesses as well?
It's a utility. If they have sprinklers, just like
Yeah.
was mentioned, if they have fire sprinklers,
They have to keep the
So-
water on.
they have to keep the water on and they have to maintain the pressure, have it checked annually.
Okay.
There's a lot that goes into that, but there's not that many buildings on Main Street that have sprinklers, but if they have that, they have to have water and they have to have electric unless they're on, you can correct me if I'm wrong. Now you can use a cell phone for your call. Yeah, there's different methods, but still you've got to charge a battery for that. So you would have to have electricity. So
Okay.
there's a lot that goes into that, and then your fire marshal for the city could add a lot to that, let you know what has to be done,
I know-
vacant or not, whether it's occupied or vacant, it's got to be up to snuff because it could catch on fire and burn downtown down. That's a protection thing for the rest. Any comments from up here?
No, after everything I've seen, and I'm just really looking forward to the joint session with the CRA. Really get their appetite and what
Yeah.
they want to move forward with first and how we structure this. I think everything needs to be done that we've seen. Obviously, it's just how do
We have to have a plan.
put it together? Yeah.
And since I've been here, which is 3 years now, I've seen a lot of movement. We've done a lot of things in the last 3 years that we didn't do before. And it feels good. It feels good to see the city grow and prosper. And I don't think anybody can imagine what the pickleball courts are going to do. It's to have shaded pickleball courts. You're talking about a massive crowd to downtown every single night of the week. Sun and Lakes does phenomenal. I mean, you got to go down there and sit in line and put your name in to get a court. And that would be a great feeling to have happened in downtown Avon Park. And bringing people to Donaldson Park and the splash pad, the things that we've been talking about and we're rushed to do because we may not be doing anything after October. To me, that's just going to make this place jump. And then the other things that you brought up is wonderful. I loved your presentation. Yes, I'm sorry. Did you want to finish?
I'm good.
Yeah. You haven't spoken.
I am excited. I'm waiting on this to have this deal closed.
I think the South Side deserves some attention. It's been a long time waiting for us to have the type of energy and to have the unity to move forward. There are some things I would love to see in the South Side, but I'll wait till the planning meeting.
Go ahead.
Emilio Garibaldi, 126 West Main Street. Just to add to the park, what they're doing with the park, myself and Sarah actually sold 105 East Main right in front of that where the pickleball is going to be built. It was the old doctor's office that I heard, the green one. And I wanted to let all you guys know, we're not going to spill the beans yet what she's putting in, but it's a wonderful woman who bought it, and she's going to make it as compatible with the park as possible to make sure that people are going to be, get everything that they need for that park when they come through. So that's another project that's in the works. I won't say yet what we're putting, but it's going to be really good for that.
It would be a great feeder.
100%. So, and then the corner building we're working on.
Wonderful.
It's great to see the neighborhood improving. That's next door to the Shuffle Club, and it's a shared wall. So I couldn't be happier to see that you guys did something with that. So thank you. I know.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Can I ask a question? I know I went through a lot, but I really do want your opinion as advisory board. Each of you, was there one particular idea that stuck out to you? Because there's a lot of ideas.
I like from when you started until you finished.
Yeah.
That's the piece I like.
Like top three? I mean, can we narrow
It's
it down
very
a little?
positive.
Okay.
A lot of insight went into it. You did a great job putting it together.
I
But
think-
we just need to pick and choose the things that we think we can get done quickly. Short range, long, middle range, and long range out of what you presented. I mean, the things that we can do quickly and some things that will take some time.
Miss Jessica. Thank you for your presentation. We'll go back 4 years. This CRA advisory board was charged with addressing what came to it for facade grants with a limit of $2,000. We were always charged with it had to come to us. We were never charged with the opportunity of thinking on our own. And that was a directive that I don't know where it was established. But when it was handed, the booklet and the binder and the rules or guidance, or that's the understanding. Accept what has come to you and try to give some similar, or trying to get some advice back to a CRA board of what would be an acceptable spend within the guardrails of $2,000. A year later, we expanded a little bit more of the spend. And it appears in the plan now. This following year, we made a revelation by agreeing to advise a CRA board to consider a $50,000 demolition project of ridding themselves of buildings that could possibly house human life. And that was just been a steady walk. The third year, 2.5 years into it, there was a request that came from a historical building and an institution south of here that's an education institution, asking if we could help provide a safety mechanism because the windows were coming out of the building. And the CRA advisory board did something unprecedented of asking the CRA board to consider a $100,000 grant to replace all windows so students wouldn't fall out of buildings in downtown Avon Park at a historical building. These are monumental things. Now you've taken us to another stratosphere. I don't think it's so much what we have to choose tonight on your presentation, besides all of it. We have to choose the narrative that we can never spend the money waiting on people to approach us.
Yes. Amen.
All we'll do is accumulate more money and more money and more money if we are blessed by the fact that the House and Senate can't agree. We cannot spend the money based on the narrative that comes to us. We're going to have to swing the pendulum and ask for approval from the CRA board that the advisory board spends the money with wonderful presentations that might incorporate 6 figures, 7 figures. We just have to think, and we are going to make many people upset because I never would have done that mentality. But we have to do something. We have to be willing to take the criticism up here. If this is a direction the CRA board wants to vote, take this criticism on a daily basis that we approve something so monumental for such a big spend that's never been done before. That, I think, is what our narrative or our charge would be tonight. Are we switching this pendulum? Wonderful presentation. The only thing I have on that presentation, but it was just way down even more what I'm speaking at. What is the boundaries by which a business can take on, meaning I love outdoor tables and chairs. How far can they go to the curb under our current code, current enforcement, and the fact that we don't own Main Street, it's DOT.
That's the problem. It's DOT right of way up into the store actual front.
Yeah.
So right now we're limited, but we are going to own it. I've been on conference calls with FDOT regarding their repavement project. They're letting the contract this October. You should see construction starting in January, beginning of next year. And the problem is we don't know yet if the construction is going to start on the Avon Park end of the project or the Sebring end of the project because the contract hasn't been let yet. But once we know that, then our end, when it's done, will be turned over to us.
Right.
So we're going through and identifying all the appurtenant structures and if they need to be maintained or improved at this point so that we can have the turnover contract to us when the project is done.
Thank you very much. I think we have enough data for Main Street to know that the citizens won't come fast enough to spend it. We're going to have to spend it. I think Councilwoman, in referencing the South Side, is doing a wonderful job of trying to, but still, with all the efforts being put in, the fund just won't go down. My personal DNA is a net zero attitude. There shouldn't be a dime in any account. We should spend it down with a lot of advice and a lot of partnership, but we should be looking for that. But there has never been that narrative in the 3.5 years that I've had the privilege of listening to ideas. So if we're willing to take on that direction and take on this is something that one of the advice we have to give to the CRA board. Are you ready to say no to smaller projects and thank you for your comments.
Do you have anything?
What's the ordinance on drinking alcohol on the sidewalk? So for instance, the outdoor dining. We have currently 18 East that's opened till after dark, maybe 8 o'clock or something like that. Little Italy also has beer and wine and they're open a little bit later on Main Street. If we were to put, and I don't know if it's even allowed, but if we were to put something like the concrete tables and chairs in the middle of Main Street, like let's say in front of Little Italy would be between Little Italy and Maryland Fried Chicken. If people did want to go and sit down and eat right there, could they take a glass of wine from Little Italy and sit in the middle of Main Street and eat their pizza or spaghetti or whatever? Would that be allowed?
Not the way the ordinances are currently structured, no. That doesn't mean they can't be changed.
Okay.
So do you have something?
I think that the projects we're trying to do at Donaldson Park is going to change things. I think that it's a positive step, but I'm with Bill on that. For so long, we've been kind of hands tied, take care of the things. That's what we did. I guess I've been here 4 years. I don't know how long, because I can remember those days and where we are today versus where we were then. We've come a long way, as a board, but we've got a long way to go. And for major projects, I think that Councilman Bernard was one that came up with a splash pad idea, and and expanding on that. Bill is the one that came up with the pickleball. And for us to be able to do something of that magnitude just blows my mind that we can help downtown that dramatically. And yes, the windows, that was a big deal, and it went right through. These guys, I feel like that the CRA board has backed us to the 10th degree. I mean, they listen to us, they pay attention, and they've come up with some ideas to help us, you know. So I think moving forward, it's just figuring out the right way to go, you know, where to spend the money we have and get it spent. Like Bill was saying, let's get a zero. Let's put money into this downtown and South Side or wherever we can put in projects to beautify our city.
I don't know where I don't want to say that it's ever happened, but I am not a part of every meeting. But this is, somebody referenced this project at Donaldson Park has probably been on the books longer before this group has been together to do something down there. And we collectively have came up with a few ideas, and now it's made it to paper or has made it to a screen. But it takes a lot of time, I'm becoming to realize, in city government. Things take a lot of time. And I think some of that happens because not everybody is completely 100% behind the project. And there are a lot of questions, there are a lot of concerns, and it just slows down and slows down. I'd like to get beyond the concerns before we ever talk about anything else. I mean, are we on board with a project to let it go through at its normal pace? I don't know. I don't know where these meetings derail themselves or the change of administrations and change of managers, and that always has, now we have to start all over mentality. But with your guidance and you carry on the information that's been misunderstood or misspoken over various groups, I think that's a key component too. You know what's been said, you know what's happened. We just witnessed this tonight. We have a $75,000 budget in Southside that was a shock and awe in a public meeting. I mean, we didn't know. So those are things that just need to constantly be assured to people that is going forward. Thank you.
Sarah, before you go ahead, please.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, please.
Well, we tried to spend some of your money and we came before you guys. When was it? August. I'm one of the business owners and there's several other ones here. 100 East Main, that building is going to be 100 years old next year. And we came before you and, well, 2 junior members, but the rest of you all voted for us to have that building repaired because it does need a lot of work. During our rainy season, I will invite each and every one of you over to my office. I have a waterfall in my office coming from the brick. And you all approved or recommended that $100,000 was to be earmarked. It went in front of the CRA board and one of the members knocked it down from $100,000 to $2,000 per unit. So giving us $20,000. So we have been trying. There have been business owners and building owners that have come before you to try and get money, but there's a disconnect from what your wishes are and what happens in front of the CRA board. So just saying, I tried to spend your money.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I know you're trying to adjourn soon, but when we meet for the next CRA advisory and the CRA joint session, I would like for y'all to also keep in mind, there's 2 things, I'm not going to discuss it tonight, but there's 2 things that I would like for both boards to consider, and that is the Black Historical Gravesite. Keep that in mind when we debating. And when I sat down with Jessica and Dr. Kelly came up with a brilliant idea. I pushed against it, but I think she won. And she said that, yeah, initially I did. She said that she thought it would be great to have some concrete table games at Leroy's.
Hmm.
However many, she didn't say. But it is the South Side. It is the South Side's money. So I would like for y'all to keep that in mind. They do congregate there. They sit in their cars, they talk, they drink, they play dominoes, and you name it. They got a pool room in there. And I thought it was a great idea once Dr. Kelly convinced me, but that is something that I also like y'all to keep in mind when we come together at our next meeting.
And these are wonderful
Yes,
ideas
this
that go right in the middle of a budget. And when the money's gone, it's gone. So if we want to spend it on two major projects in the South Side and not paint another house for a calendar year, is that the narrative we want? And that's my question. Are we going to now assert that major dollars are going to be spent on two wonderful ideas or three wonderful ideas, and the 30 or 40 that you've been very, very successful at bringing forward to us to paint a single house for $5,000? I mean, that's the balancing act we've been asked to, I think we're being charged to understand.
Yes.
It's a different way forward. Because the money will never change. It's whatever the money is earning, and wherever it gets there, and we spend it. And then that's where we'll take appropriate, I don't say criticism, we'll be judged whether we did it the right way or not, forever. And that's fair. So I agree with the thoughts.
If I could piggyback off, it's an honor to sit in this chair. It's an honor to be dedicated to this situation. I am so much looking forward to May 12th, and I know it's going to be a marathon. But I also know there's a certain Dr. Kelly that doesn't take no for an answer either. And I think you have probably most people on this board feel the same way. And I think the energy is going to be solid. I think it's going to be interesting, but this May 12th, we need to get a lot of stuff done here. And Bill, I really appreciate what you just said because it's important, getting that momentum, whatever it may be. I am so glad we were able to push this and get this done. I can't wait to see what we come up with. But at the same time, I'm not going to be quiet. We need to keep pushing and we need to keep going and we need to get some traction, we need to get some dirt under our feet and get this going. So Bernice Taylor and Jim, I really love and adore you. And I hope that we can all come together on the 12th. And people in the audience, please be here and please don't stay quiet. And like I said, it's an honor to be here. I appreciate the time you guys just gave me. And thank you, Bill, for what you just said.
Do you mind if I speak a few words? Just wanted to say something. As a liaison to this advisory group, it's been an honor and a pleasure. I've always told you at every meeting you gave me an opportunity to talk that I appreciate the growth that all of you have done. A majority of you have been here for 3 years or more. And I think we've seen many, many changes, all to the very positive, all to your group. And part of that, I was part of the discussion with you guys when we talked about getting a CRA director, because we needed to figure out a way how to spend the funds and how to have somebody come up with the ideas that we needed to do to make Donaldson Park and Main Street and the city of Avon Park a better place. I actually believe, from my memory, I may be a little bit older here, but I believe it was the mayor and the other members of the council that came up with the idea originally of Donaldson Park and expanded that. And I think that he and some of the members of the council deserve some of the credit for that. But I think the biggest thing, though, is to finally get ourselves a CRA director that has the experience, the knowledge, and the push. And the presentation that I've seen tonight, that everybody is here and everybody in this audience has said that finally we're there, we're going to get this done. And I believe you're going to have every member of the city council, of the CRA board, agree with you 100%. And I, for one, will tell you, I want to push this forward. And you all know I've said it many times. So let's do it. And I'm ready to vote for it. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Me. A couple of things. The gazebo on Delaney Avenue. I would like to see some money put in that. The other day I passed through and it was some use being put to it. It was a guy there doing haircuts, free haircuts to people. And I was glad to see that being utilized. Another thing, I did look on my phone, the next upcoming FRA conference is coming up in October if we're still alive and around as a board. I would encourage everybody to please see if you can attend because you learn a lot. You learn a lot. I went for several years and represented the city, and I was the instructor for the diversity session at a state level for 3-4 years. And I was the one that attended a session called Expanding Your Boundaries. Never heard of it. And I think Mr. Bates, when he created the CRA, we were just a certain area, correct, Mr. Bates? That it didn't include the Hood Street area, Winn-Dixie, or none of that. And so I brought that idea back as far as expanding your boundaries. And we expanded our boundaries at Southside, the Winn-Dixie Plaza, all the way down to the Wells Motor car lot. You know, I brought that idea back. You learn a lot at the FRA conferences. I mean, going to these sessions is taught by professionals or people who have very good experience. And if you would just look at your calendar, it's going to be in West Palm Beach this October, and ask for some days off ahead of time. And I think it's on a golf course or whatever. So resort. So maybe those of you who play golf, that'll be down your alley. You can play golf in the off time from the conferences. Thank you.
I just forgot one really important ad was audio in the park and down Main Street, which would be a large ticket item. But currently, Christmas parade, when you go anywhere, just hearing some type of music when you walk down Main Street or in a shopping plaza or at a park, it creates that ambiance. So just kind of keep that in the back of your mind as well. So, and announcing Christmas parade is really fun. So.
Anything else? And we're going to be here. When is it? May
12th at 4 p.m.
May 12th at 4 p.m. Be there.
Council.
How long is it planned for? Is it before city council?
It's before city council meeting, which starts at 6.
So we got 2 hours.
Yes, ma'am. Sir.
I'm sorry.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
All right. If there's no other business, we stand adjourned. I think we can just get up.